Rambam. We continue with the laws of edus, testimony. Hmm. Tell me. You see the Rambam?
Yes.
Okay, chapter 11. When one does not read the written law, nor study the oral law, nor carry on any ordinary social relationships, he can be assumed to be wicked, as is qualified as a witness according to rabbinic decree. So we're learning the laws of who could be a witness, who cannot be a witness, who's disqualified. We started that yesterday, a couple chapters. So someone who does not read the written law, maybe if you can let in, someone who, right, not the written law nor the oral law. They learn Torah, or they, or, right, these are ors, not and. They don't carry ordinary social relationships. They can be assumed to be wicked, and they're disqualified by rabbinic law, not by biblical law. The rationale is that whenever a person has descended to such a degree, it can be assumed that he will transgress most transgressions and that will present themselves to him. Now, does what he wants. If you're not learning Torah, so then, right? And if you don't have ordinary um, social relationships, some kind of hermit or whatever, I guess, I don't know, whatever, then you can be assumed not to be following the ways of Torah. And therefore, we can't trust you in your um, in being a witness. For this reason, unlearned people should not be designated as witness, nor do we accept such a person's testimony unless it's been established that he observes the mitzvahs. So if you're unlearned, then generally you won't, unless we know that this person is an observant individual, observant of mitzvahs, performs acts of kindness, conducts himself in an upright manner, and carries on normal social relationships. Testimony of such a person may be accepted even though he's unlearned. It's unfamiliar with both the written and oral Torah law. So it seems to me that I made a mistake in the previous one, that it means all three things together here. Yeah. But here we have the fact the person is unlearned in both, but yet is fulfilled. We know that they fulfill mitzvahs and they are, doing acts of kindness, upright, and so on. Thus, one may conclude that any Torah scholar may be assumed to be acceptable as a witness unless he is disqualified, right? Unless otherwise, you would assume. And any unlearned person may be assumed to be unacceptable unless he establishes that he follows just paths, right? Okay. Halacha number 4. Whoever accepts the testimony of an unlearned person before it's established that he possesses the above positive qualities, or before witnesses come and testifies that he observes the mitzvahs and carries on ordinary relationships, is a commoner. Please let in Michael, and will be required to face judgment, for he's fortified the financial resources. He has fortified the financial resources of Jews on the basis of the testimony of the wicked. Aha. In other words, this is about the court of law, right? The judges, the Beis Din. So if they do this, then they're going to fortify financial resources that belongs to someone because of testimony that is of wicked people. They're not allowed to. Similarly, Bates people are disqualified as witnesses by rabbinic decree. This refers to people who walk through the marketplace eating in the presence of everyone. Those that's or those who go unclothed in the marketplace. Right? They go bare skin, like they would just wear a pair of shorts, no shirt, for example, right? They're involved in ignoble tasks and the like. The rationale is that they are not concerned for their own shame. All these people are considered as dogs, halachically, not don't treat them as dogs. They will not be concerned with testifying falsely, right? That's the point over here. Others, they have no self-dignity, so then anything goes. That's the point. That's what it means considered as dogs. Like a dog, in Hebrew, the word dog is kelev. And there's a play on the words. Kule lev, kol lev. Kelev is chaf lamed, which spells kol, and then lamed base, heart, all heart. You see that they're unusual. That's why master, they're man's best friend because they're all heart. And for someone who doesn't have whatever, so they're going to be considered your best friend. But the point being that they're all heart, meaning that they're not. They just live by their heart, not with their mind having dominion over the heart, right? To do what's right. That's what the idea of mind over the heart is. They don't live that way, so therefore that's why they're considered as dogs, and therefore their testimony is not, right? Sounds very harsh, but that's what it means. Yeah, you're living in that way. Now, it sounds not so PC, like, today, what do you mean? People walk around, they're not having self-dignity. Today, that might be most people. Included are those who partake of charity given by Gentiles in public. Although they could derive the benefit in private, they denigrate themselves to accept it in public without showing concern for their honor. All of these individuals disqualified according to rabbinic decree. In other words, biblical, it's okay, but rabbinic, the rabbis were more careful on who they take witness from, testimony from, and to take, because non-Jews, when they would give it publicly to the Jew, they would deride him, show what kind of lowlife he is. And the fact that you don't have that self-dignity, right, means when you don't have self-dignity, so then, like, there's no boundaries in your life. Not having boundaries in your life means you're going to give testimony. You can't trust it, right? Can't trust it. Oops. What is the difference between a person who is disqualified as a witness according to scriptural law and one who is disqualified by rabbinic decree? Testimony of a person disqualified by scriptural law is nullified even though it was not announced in synagogues and houses of study that he is unacceptable. Right. Even if it wasn't announced, since he's biblically disqualified, it's disqualified. Announcements made about a person who is disqualified. A rabbinic decree, by contrast, before his testimony is disqualified. Accordingly, any testimony that he gives before such announcements made are accepted so that people who relied on him will not suffer a loss, but they do not know that he was unacceptable and he's disqualified only by rabbinic decree. So it could be that a person relied on this person who is rabbinically is disqualified. It needs to be announced. I don't know what that means. That he's we can announce that guy because he, took charity publicly and was. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know. Like, it sounds a little odd, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Good question. I don't get it. To look it up. I mean, what I understand from it is that there needs to be an awareness of a person or of the community needs to know that I can't depend on this person to be a witness, so don't have them be a witness for you. That's what it means. Because, the person used him as a witness, didn't know. Right? So if it's biblical, it doesn't matter. Right? You didn't know any better. Doesn't matter. He's disqualified. Right? But rabbinic, it does matter whether you knew or not. Okay. The testimony of one witness is acceptable with regard to the Torah prohibitions, even though testimony is not acceptable with regard to other matters. This is evident from the fact that when a wicked person known to transgress slaughters an animal, his slaughter is acceptable. We accept his word when he says, I slaughtered it according to law. When, however, a person is suspected of violating a particular prohibition frequently, his word is not acceptable with regard to his own matters. His word is accepted, however, with regard to others. So let's say one witness, right, saw a wicked person slaughter an animal, right? That wicked person, we wouldn't trust him. But the one witness said he did it properly. So that's okay. Yeah, I have to look at that more. For this, a person suspect of violating particular prohibition may serve as a judge and as a witness for others. We operate on the assumption that the person will not transgress so that others will benefit. What is implied? Okay. The word of an unlearned person is accepted if he states, the product so-and-so has been tied, not him. For himself, he's not going to be, because he's not going to transgress this unlearned person, so someone else is going to benefit, right? To say a false testimony, right? We just said third commandment, we just learned. So he's not going to do that. But for his own, he may, so that we wouldn't trust, because there's a gain for him to lie falsely. But for someone else, he has no gain, so we're not suspect of that. Similarly, the word of a person who is suspected of selling the meat of the firstborn is accepted if he states the meat of so-and-so is selling is ordinary meat, meaning it's not sanctified meat and it could be used, right? Similar principles apply with regard to other prohibitions. For the wicked, fear the Torah prohibitions, but they do not fear causing the others monetary loss. Right. So wicked here means, right, as we've explained previously, doesn't mean that Torah prohibition, like eating not kosher, That's not what it means, someone who doesn't eat non-kosher. They're eating kosher. But that's why we can believe when they say that so-and-so's meat that he's selling is ordinary meat rather than sanctified meat for the holy temple, right? Like to bring it second tithes to the holy temple, right? Because he's gaining nothing by saying about so-and-so, right? So we can believe that because he's not getting any benefit by making this statement. And it's a biblical law. So we're not worried that he's going to transgress that. Unless, of course, again, wicked means over here, just if you're not being careful on something. Number 9, the kings of Israel may not testify, nor is testimony given against them, because they are strong armed men of power who do not subjugate themselves to the yoke of judges. Testimony may be given against the high priest, by contrast, and he may give testimony concerning the king of the supreme Sanhedrin, as explained. So the kings of Israel, by the way, kings of Israel doesn't mean not kings of Judah, like King David and King Solomon. We're not talking about that, right? Remember when it was split, the kingdom was split. So speaking about the northern kings, those kings, because they didn't subjugate themselves to the law. And that's why proliferated idolatry, and that's why in the end they got destroyed. And we have the 10 lost tribes. So we're not speaking about the Yehuda. But the high priests, they were different. Last halacha 10. Our sages had no need to list informers, epicursim, and apostates among those who are not acceptable as witness, for they listed only the wicked among the Jewish people. These rebellious deserters of faith are inferior to non-Jews. Non-Jews need not be sent in the pit, then they should be pushed into the pit. Pious ones who must receive the share in the world to come. So non-Jews, the pious non-Jews, good, they receive a place in the world to come, right? The deserters of faith should be pushed into a pit and should not be saved, but they will not receive a portion of the world to come. As a Jew who is having a negative effect on other Jews, bringing them away from the faith. By the way, this is very important, that this is only speaking about a Jew who was knowledgeable of what it means to live a Jewish life and lived the Jewish life and went away from it. That's what we're talking about. Today, no one has that qualification. Today, there's the qualification, every Jew has a qualification as if they were kidnapped by non-Jews and raised in a non-Jewish home without Judaism, right? Without Judaism. That's the status of every Jew today. As opposed to when the Rambam wrote, so there were Jews who were extremely knowledgeable, well-versed in Torah, and went away from it. They have a law of an apostate because they are turning others away from Torah. Those that turn away, who know better and turn away those from Torah, then they have, death is their atonement. Yeah, that's their sentence. No, if they did tshuva, they did tshuva. But they're worse than someone who's Jewish in what their actions are, in their actions. Okay. Thank you, folks. Have a great day. Good Shabbos.